Hello ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, my name is Brad. This is my channel Animate Orange, where I built a lot of 3D metal models, and today on the table another one from the exclusive Disney collection. This one's a little bit older and it's taken me a while to get it just because, well, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there. I have a Haunted Mansion Hearse. Despite being nowhere near any of the Disney parks, thank goodness for places like eBay where you can still find this stuff. And it's a little bit cheaper than when it first came out. Let's open this up, see what's inside, and build us a hearse to go with the Haunted Mansion. It's buried somewhere behind me. It's a Haunted Mansion Hearse. Tap that down and make sure we don't tear any instructions. And let's open up. Dun -da. We have the usual 2 sheets. Face back to back, so flip one over. Where's the other one? All the necessary parts to build our little hearse. And we have the instructions, as usual. If we open this up, ooh, it looks very colorful. To page 1 and 2, starting with page 1, as we usually have. We start off with the Metal Earth 3D Metal Model Kit. QR code and the web address to the 360 view. We have a line drawing of the completed model in one of the sheets. Down here we have a sample part demonstrating the insertion tabs, insertion holes, and fold lines. We have the nose pliers, helpful for assembly, little bit that's usually there in the older ones anyway. The legend, E, when you see that pointing at something, is pointing at an engraved side or section. N is pointing at a non-engraved or non-detailed side or section. And attention point is pointing at something important. Usually has to do with the alignment of parts. Sometimes there'll be notes there, sometimes not, to tell you exactly what you should pay attention to. And then we have the blue circle. When you see that at a connection point, it means to insert a tab and fold it over 90 degrees. Green triangle, insert and twist the tab 90 degrees. And if you pull and screw, it makes for a tighter connection when you're twisting them, if you can pull that out. Sometimes it doesn't work, but oftentimes it does. And then you have the 2 metal sheets down here. I'll just grab one as an example. Which one have I grabbed? I grabbed that one. And you see this is an outline of this sheet, and it has all the part numbers listed pointing at the parts, so you know how to find them. And you'll notice that some of these parts are colored in different colors, but some are colored in the same. The ones that are colored in the same are the same part. For instance, we have part 5 here. It's also the same shape and color as this, this, and this. They're all part 5. And then we have part 20 here. That's also part 20. One is labeled, one is not, but the color tells you that they're the same part because they're used in more than one place. Wheels. There's, what, 4 wheels on this thing? Yes, 4 wheels on this thing. So a lot of duplicate parts right there. Slide over to page 2. You have the start of the assembly flowchart, starting with part 1. And part 2, bring those together, shape that, bring it together, and then add on part 3, curving it around, end up with that. You do it 4 times. Come down here with part 4 and 5, 4 and 5, add on all of these parts. Guess this is the part from up here. Doesn't really say. You end up with that in part A. So yeah, that's a bit of an oversight. It looks like you add part 5 in twice, but it doesn't say times 2 here. So that's a little disappointing. And they do the same thing here. So that's a little less than clear. They're usually a little clearer than that, but it looks like you assemble part 1, or you assemble this part 4 times. You do part 5 times 2 and 1 4, bring them together, and then you add on 2 of these. You end up with part A, and then you do 6 and 2 more 5s. Bring those together, add on 2 more from up here, and you get part B. It's not as clear as it should be. And then we move down, we've got 7, 8, 9, 8, 9. Just add on the parts. Follow the assembly flowchart, putting the pieces and parts together. You get to the bottom of 2, you flip over to 4, continue on. Following the assembly, the sub-assembly, shaping, and adding on parts. And you get to the bottom of 3, of course we go to 4, and we just kind of finish up. And there we go with our completed model, a completed hearse to go with the mansion. Let's take a moment to talk about the tools that I use. This is my standard set that I use in most every build. I have long needle nose pliers and flat nose pliers, useful for a variety of different things. I have flush clippers that I use to cut the parts off the trees. It makes it quick and easy. And then I have some precision tweezers, one with a very pointed end, one that's had the pointed end ground down slightly, and one with a flat, sort of curved end. Great for getting into curved areas. And then I have a standard set of tweezers with an angled tip. These come in one of the Iconics models, and I love them and use them a lot. When it comes to shaping rounded parts, there are many options. I used dowel rods for a long time. I sharpened the ends of 2 of them with a pencil sharpener. These 2 are great for making cone shapes. Another option is a cheap drill bit set. This set has quite a few different sizes to choose from. Another option is a set of step mandrels. Ring pliers or round nose pliers can be found with jewelry making tools and work wonderfully for curving delicate and or hard to get to areas. So we've quickly glanced at the directions, we got our metal sheets, some basic tools to get started. Let's build this thing. The different steps on the step mandrel were not the right size for part 2, so I turned to drill bits. I use my fingernails to bend over the tabs holding the wheels together.
I thought for sure part 4 was going to get warped because it was such a long thin piece to bend, but I used my precision tweezers in an odd way. I used the handle of the tweezers to bend over the long parts. I picked this tip up from Instagram. To further secure the tabs that I bent over with my fingernails, I like to give them a little pinch with my tweezers. The wheels bend so easily they look terrible and bent right now, but once I get the other half of the wheel on, it will straighten things up and look a lot better. For the record, it took a couple of tries to get part 8 in its place over the tabs. This looks a bit daunting, but I shall take it one bend at a time. A quick look at this part and it looks a bit daunting as well, but you have to just take it one piece and one shape at a time. This is not an easy part to shape. I ended up opening part 21 back up a little to get the lantern assembly in place. And I give you the magic disappearing parts. I've done my best to shape this part and fit it into its space, but it just doesn't seem to fit right. That could be a matter of me not bending the angles quite right, and it could be a design flaw. I'm not sure, but I can say that I'm not happy about the way the assembly sits and how it affects later parts. These parts don't really fit well together. I tried to make some adjustments, but there was only so much I can do. I did end up checking on the 360 view online, and they didn't have much better luck. Getting part 30 over part 28 was a very tight fit. While I am having a difficult time getting this top on, can you guess what step I skipped? If you guessed wheels and axle, you guessed correctly. And I present to you the Haunted Mansion Hearse. Well, it looks pretty long with this bit on it right there. It is all finished. Not an easy build, not an overly challenging build, but definitely with its challenges. Especially like the putting together this front section here, all those long thin parts can be, well, you got to be careful with it. You got to be very careful and delicate and easy and pay attention, because you could easily warp and tear things all out of place, and getting all those little tabs bent over and all those little flaps bent over without destroying the part, without squishing or warping or tearing or doing damage. It takes some patience and some attention to detail, and just plain being careful. Shaping these lantern things was not easy, but I managed. I'm not completely happy with them, but fairly satisfied. Of course, I'm never completely happy. I realize I'm never going to achieve perfection with any of these models, so I just get pretty close and I'm satisfied with that. And oops, there went my phone. Now, this build took me almost 2 hours to complete. It kind of felt like it took a little bit longer than that, but it really didn't. I added up all the time, and it was 2 hours, so it did come together kind of quickly for the model that it is. I'm not sure what the exact difficult level for it is, but I would give it a pretty solid medium. So it's not terribly hard, but it's certainly not easy. It's not, I wouldn't start with it, but you could kind of model. It's definitely a little bit of a challenge, but not pull your hair out. I did enjoy it. I was concerned with how it was going to look throughout the build, how the final product was going to look, and I am fairly satisfied with the end result. It did come together fairly well. It looks a little bit better than I expected, with the exception of the carriage parts that just didn't want to quite line up, but really overall they don't detract from it very much. It still looks pretty neat, and this actually turns a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily supposed to. It's just that there's numerous tabs holding that whole joint together, and between the play and all of them, it makes it look like it's fairly flexible. It's just a lot of play because of the way the joints are connected. But overall, not a bad model. Certainly goes great with the rest of the Disney collection. This will go nicely with the Haunted Mansion house, which, you know, when I built that, it was really awkward the way it come together, and it didn't seem to fit. But in hindsight, I kind of come to realize that that's sort of the way that mansion is supposed to be. It's supposed to be a little bit warped and dilapidated and not quite right. This, however, I don't think is quite supposed to be that way, but I could be wrong. But it not as lopsided as the house was, but the house is supposed to be that way, so there you go. As always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments down below. I thank you for watching. If you enjoy these videos, please consider supporting this channel. Check out a link to my Patreon at the end of this video and in the description down below. As always, thank you for watching, and keep on keeping on.